Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on ChannelOne television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, ask them the relevant questions on issues that matter to you. Today is our final show for 2024, and we are back in the courts, back with elections 2024, and back in Parliament, all in one fell swoop. We're speaking to the two key sides on a matter to be heard tomorrow, the 31st, in relation to this mandamus order that was granted without notice to one side of the group. We speak to two key lawyers on this matter as we prepare for a very important determination, 31st December, tomorrow, Tuesday. Stay with us. Welcome back. So tonight we have a 3-in-1 show. It's political, it's administrative, it's also legal. So what's the politics? Election 2024 has finished. Would have thought that we would know the composition of Parliament, but it's not very clear, because on our dashboard initially we had given NDC 182, MPP had around 88, and 4 independents with about 2 to go. But in the previous week, the group called Interested Party 2 to 7, this will be MPP MPs for 6 constituencies, went to a high court to ask the high court to compel the EC to recollate the results of specific constituencies. Well, the EC said they didn't have any opposition to that. So even though the NDC had wanted a hearing in terms of applying to join the process formally, the lawyer was giving a verbal hearing for a few minutes, after which the matter was determined in favor of the 6. Well, the NDC went to the Supreme Court to say this is patently unfair, it violates the law of natural justice. Supreme Court kind of agreed with the NDC and says, look, allow the NDC to be heard in this matter of mandamus. So tonight we're speaking to Godwin Edujitamaklu, who was in court arguing at the Supreme Court for NDC to be given a proper hearing. We'll also speak to lawyer Atachia, who is a member of Parliament for the constituency that the president hails from. Of course, he will not be in the next Parliament. We'll speak to him as well on what is at stake in tomorrow's very important hearing. Godwin, thanks for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you, Bernard. Bernard, I honestly need to thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
I recall coming here, the previous site prior to the election, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity, giving us the platform to campaign for H.E. John Dramani Mahama. It appeared the last time I came here, it was election related, I think Jachikwesin or something.
Yes.
And I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, yes. By the way, he won his seat, didn't he?
Yes, comfortably.
Wonderful.
Comfortably.
So I see this as political, administrative, but also legal. So the politics is that we don't know the composition of the Parliament yet. What is not clear is how many seats are in contention, because initially EC said there were 9, and then the matter that was sent to the High Court had 6.
Yes. And
now what will be determined tomorrow is 4. So it's very confusing. Do you have, from off the top of your head, the 9 constituencies in question?
Yes, so initially the Ahafano enclave.
North and Southwest.
Yes, that enclave. Edujama, that enclave. Then you have Obuasi East, you have Domekwa Benya, you have Okankwe Central, Ablekuma North, Tema Central. Those,
and then Techiman South.
And then Techiman South. So those were the problematic constituencies. But we had always contended that those seats were declared, I think 5 of them were declared in our favor. There were some that were waiting to be declared. And for that matter, our position, and that is why if you watch the Supreme Court proceeding, I drew the attention of the court to the fact that there was already a judicial review application in the nature of certiorari, because when the various presiding officers had declared those 5 constituencies, the Electoral Commission did a press briefing one Friday evening, claiming that they have invalidated those results. So the next Monday, which was the 16th of December, I filed at the registry of the High Court, the judicial review, that one, the presiding officers and the returning officers make their declaration in respect of those 5. They had become what you say frontus officio. And so if anybody is dissatisfied with it, the person must go to the High Court, pursuant to Article 99, to actually challenge the validity of those declarations, and that was not done. So it was in between. So the next day, which was the 17th, then the 6th MPP parliamentary candidate caused to be issued at the High Court the various mandamus application, which brought about the 20th December hearing, and which subsequently resulted in the intervention from the Supreme Court. Okay. So basically that's
where we are. So let me just understand from your own what happened, and I'll speak to Atachian, who is also on.
Very well.
So when the six went to plead this mandamus,
yes,
which was to ask the High Court to direct the EC to recollate or collate,
yes,
you said that you were supposed to have been at least given a chance to join. Absolutely. Because you were also an interested party.
Yes.
The High Court judge disagreed with you.
Yes.
Then you went to the Supreme Court to file what you call a certiorari.
Yes.
To set aside what the High Court had done.
Correct.
Now, from what Justice Puaman read, did they agree with you entirely? Because it seemed as if you got some of the reliefs you wanted, and some of them you did not.
So in terms of the substantive application, it has what we call grounds.
All right.
Ground A, B, up to E. Even for me, ground A alone succeeding was enough.
Okay.
However, there were other grounds that we thought we could formulate. But notwithstanding the fact that the court says not enough evidence was provided, it still went ahead to say that the matter be taken away from the judge. That for us is all that we wanted. That at this point, his mind was made up relative to the issues. Okay. And so it cannot go back to him. Okay. And thankfully, the court agreed with us on that score. But the bigger conversation for us was the issue of hearing. And like I pointed out before the justices of the Apex Court, you see, if you look at what happened in the High Court, Bernard, you have a situation where you say, you call, say, Anodompre, or you call a queer free, and then she's up. Then the lawyers announce themselves. Then the judge asks EC lawyer, are you opposed to the application for mandamus? Then the EC lawyer says, I am not opposed. That for me put me on the on alert that no, it appears.
So if the EC had said they were opposed to this, you would have felt that at least there were two sides in tension.
Yes, because you see, the issue with mandamus is that when there is dispute as to whether there is a legal duty to be performed, it's enough to refuse it.
What if the EC felt that it was very clear that they hadn't performed their function, and therefore if a party felt that the original,
then there was no need for the mandamus,
which means the EC would have had to just correct.
So there was no need for the mandamus. And you see, for me, I saw it as a ruse, a charade. And that, you see, first of all, the Electoral Commission called this affected constituent and said they should come to Tesano. So at that time, the EC had made up his mind to do the recollation or collation. And so the issue that they needed a court order in order to perform that responsibility for us was a ruse. And so immediately my attention was drawn to the fact that the Electoral Commission or the various applicants had put this mandamus application. Immediately I wrote a letter to the registry of the court that I want copies. I personally sent a letter. And once I got the copies, I said, no, this one, it requires me to intervene quickly. And
you were given a chance to speak verbally.
Yes.
But you were not allowed to file or put in any formal process.
So you see, usually this is how our processes run. If maybe for whatever is worth, a person may file a process. But once it comes to attention that your interest would be affected, there's something we call joinder, which allows you to apply to join the process. Okay. And so immediately our attention came, we applied to the court that we will not sit down for a decision to be making before we will now try to. So you add us so that you can hear our side before you make any decision. That with respect,
was not
the trial judge didn't agree.
Atachian is MP for Achim South, Buakwa South, forgive me. And he's joining us to also express some views on where we are so far with this interesting situation. Tomorrow, 31st, will be the determination of the original mandamus application, with now NDC and some of their parliamentary candidates being represented there. Good evening, sir. Thanks for joining the program.
My pleasure as always.
Hope you are well.
I am very, very well, sir.
I remember when we spoke on radio last week, you said the right forum for all the election disputes should be the courts, and so you didn't understand why there was all the shenanigans at the collation centers. So in a sense, NDC and everybody now being in the same court is good for us, is it not? That now the court will determine the way forward for the outstanding constituencies, correct?
Well, to a reasonable extent, you see, because I always oppose civility and rule of law. So when there is even a very banal dispute, a dispute of no consequence, we resolve it in the court rather than running after each other with clubs, guys, and whatever. But the whole point of the matter is that I do not know the full motivation for anybody to go for a mandamus, as my brother is trying to talk about, because it lies within the power of EC to look at the results again. If it should come to the notice of EC in trying to discharge its constitutional duty that indeed and in fact somebody has been a beneficiary of electoral violence or fraud, and it is found that instead of several polling stations being put together, some were left out, and the process has not culminated in the gazetting of whoever is alleged to have won. I submit with the greatest respect that the EC, being a constitutional body and a decision maker, can remedy it without any court order. That's my humble view. I keep telling people that if somebody said, I've had a very serious banter with some lawyers, if somebody said that I want to be a beneficiary of electoral fraud, you understand, and go and sit in the parliament, that it is not the total of the pink sheets of all the police stations giving me this victory. And what kind of situation do we have in Ghana? And why should anybody say that, the EC has called us that let's come and look at it again because we've seen some anomaly or even arithmetical error? And the so-called beneficiary says, no, the EC can't look at it again because somebody has declared me as a winner. What if the declaration was founded on an error? That they didn't have the full complement of the pink sheets coming from the polling station. So for me, I'm of the humble view that even if you want to go to parliament, it should go beyond controversy. You shouldn't be the one who is profiting from a fraud of an election. I was saying that all the time. Well, what will be your moral justification in sitting in that hallowed chamber? I mean, when you didn't win, but for whatever consideration, some people are talking about duress, some people are talking about errors in the computation. Nevertheless, I want to take the seat in the parliament. So this is where I'm coming from. You owe it to.
So for you, the EC oughtn't have even waited for a mandamus from the interested parties. But to the extent that there was a disagreement as to whether what it did or purportedly did prior to the need for recollation was valid, maybe they need a court order to be secure because some people, of course, one party felt that you declared and we've won. Another party says what was done was not a proper declaration. So to that extent, they would have to. They needed some impetus, because there are two groups who believe that what you did was right and what you did was wrong. So it's not as straightforward as that.
Listen, it's all gangsterism. So there's this usurpation of the mandate of a constitutional body. You understand? So who are you to determine that what has been declared is the finality of the matter, as far as you are concerned? You understand? Even if there is clear issues of errors, should the errors inure to your benefit? You who is claiming ab initio that you want to fight corruption, how can you be a beneficiary of electoral corruption of this nature? So I don't get the point about this. The when we meet and we say, I have won as the MP for Abu Akasa, you understand? I should win with arithmetic. Not with trovoism and gangsterism that people will go and converge at the collation center. No, go this way or go that way. If you've won, go and then look at it again. Oh, the person is one. That is the end of the matter.
Okay, fair enough. Now, moving forward, the mandamus was moved and the court agreed, albeit the other party, being the NDC, had wanted to file a joinder, and the High Court judge did not think it was necessary. So the NDC went to court, Supreme Court, for a certiorari, which succeeded largely in part. What do you make of that, though? The fact that, yes, they've gone to court with a mandamus, and yet an interested party was not allowed to join. Of course, the Supreme Court felt that was wrong.
I want to tell you now, I'll say it anyway, the judges are prone to errors.
Okay.
Unless you can prove palpable mischief. Somebody was arguing that when you join, you become a relevant party to the action. Relevant. And somebody was arguing that, what is the relevance of you coming to join? Do you join to block a mandamus application to say that no, EC should not do his constitutional work? That will be a mischief of the highest order. But be that is as it may, the Supreme Court has said that look, they have an ultimate advantage one way or the other, so bring them in. They should go in and whatever they want to canvass for the joinder, they should canvass it. And as to whether or not it is somebody who's going to say that look, by reason of the joinder, I am of the humble view that the mandamus is redundant and you can't come out and issue an order of mandamus. They should go and canvass their position. That's the beauty of the law. Go and canvass your position before the judge. But the Supreme Court has spoken. And let's go by what the Supreme Court has said, and let us see how, in the final analysis, anybody can seriously say that I wouldn't want EC to do its work, even if there's a palpable, egregious error.
I see.
In terms of the computation, and somebody is very, very, very happy to be the beneficiary of and the notorious corruption of this nature. We will see.
Final point before I go for my first break. A lot of what you said in the first part of my question and this one would be true, especially if all sides think that the referee is objective. I think in the first point, one side thinks the EC is not being fair to them, and even to an extent in the second point as well, the NDC felt like the High Court judge was not being fair, was biased against them. So it seems as if, yes, the court will have to decide, but there has to be a certain perception of objectivity and fairness, which is unfortunately the EC from one side is not perceived to be so. So it makes this quite complicated, doesn't it?
It doesn't make it any complicated. You understand? That sense of fairness, you should show that the EC is embarking on a journey to subvert the constitutional process. You see? But if you are dissatisfied with coming to, validate elections that you claim you've won, and you have developed an allergy to that process, you talk about EC being biased. How can you say I've won elections, and somebody saying that look, I don't think so, by reason of a deficit of the collation in about maybe 10 polling stations. But you, the so-called beneficiary of the election, won't come and say that, are you sure? This is nonsense. By my polling, my pinches from the polling station, I've won convincingly. Why would anybody run away from a collation? I can't get it. If you've won convincingly, like the president-elect won convincingly, you understand? You shouldn't shudder at all in converging with anybody. Now look, this is the arithmetic of my victory, and that's the end of the matter. You damn anybody who was trying to challenge that you didn't win. Guess what? The whole process of the collation culminates in the gazetting. So if somebody said that, they announced something, and because they announced something, that's the end of the matter. They don't have a good sense of the work of the EC.
Fair enough.
By whatever regulation you want to talk about, because nobody can profit from his own wrong. That's the very primal principle of law. You can't profit from your own wrong. So nobody should be a beneficiary of electoral theft. And if I'm not a thief, morally, I should go and meet the EC together with representatives from whatever, and show the EC that, look, probably my arithmetic is challenged, and on the full welter of my pink sheet makes me a winner. That is civility, not gangsterism. And people believe that, look, I won't go again. I believe I've won. I don't believe in looking at the entirety of the pink sheet.
All right.
That is very important.
Fair enough. I'll come back to you later to look at how seminal tomorrow's judgment will be. But let me come back in studio and speak to Eduji. Any reaction to Atachia's comments?
Yes, my learned senior, I greet him. I think he's missing a few things. I recall in 2020 when Techiman South happened, the then minority leader Haruna Idrisu led a group of minority MPs to the Electoral Commission with a petition, if you recall. And we said, look, it's a numbers game. So if you are so clear that the numbers favors you, permit a recollation of the results. The Electoral Commission issued a response to us, and in paragraph 13 of that response indicated that recollation can happen at every stage, but before declaration, and that when there is a declaration, the avenue for you is the judicial process. I agree with my learned senior when he makes the point that nobody should benefit from the wrong done. That's trite. But you see, there are processes allowed in our laws. And one of the processes is to come with a petition. And I'll tell you something. When we went to the the High Court, and we had filed an application for judicial review, guess what? The Electoral Commission came to court without any affidavit in opposition. Now, if you are saying that your officers were under duress, and that it is the basis on duress that they made those declarations, permit all those officers to file respective affidavit in opposition detailing out the nature of duress. Look, Bernard, your station covered the declarations. Many other stations covered it. So when you come out and you say that a particular returning officer did a declaration because gun was pointed at his head, there should be video evidence of that. People will see it. I'll give you a classic example. Obuasi East. The returning officer, Frederick Mensah, who declared our candidate in Obuasi as the winner, the person who signed the declaration form on behalf of the MPP candidate, the sitting MP, was himself. This is
Obuasi East.
Obuasi East. Our candidate signed the form, the declaration form, for himself. Now the same returning officer, in the face of police men and everything, now he comes to Accra and says, I did that under duress.
Maybe there was something happening outside the building that put pressure on you.
With the greatest
there were some places where there were supporters outside. So maybe but fear for his life after declaring in a certain direction.
No, you see, the MPP candidate signed for himself. So he too, he was afraid. It's not possible.
But that's just Obuasi East.
Obuasi East. Many of the other places, there are video evidence of how the declaration happened. My point is that the fact of declaration is not enough, because there is a judicial intervention to correct that wrong. And so the EC in 2020 told us that we should go to court. So what did we do? We went to the High Court in Wenchi, and for 3 years litigated the matter. Eventually the High Court said the declaration was proper. I tell you this. In fact, the last case Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo did as a private legal practitioner before he stopped was this case of Republic versus High Court Bolgatanga, ex-party Hawa Yakubu. What happened? Hawa had been declared and he was in parliament. Unknown to her, the NDC candidate had gone to the Bolga High Court without Hawa. And the High Court made series of orders, including an injunctive order against her. That is what made Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo to file the judicial review application in the nature of Seshurara and others to quash the judgment of the High Court, the orders of the High Court, from Bolga. And what was his argument? The argument Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo put forward was simple. That to the extent that there is a declaration in favor of Madam Hawa, any judicial proceedings, she ought to have been or brought to her notice or made a party so that at least she can defend herself. You know why? Because you see, growing up, Bernard, when we want to kill fowl around this Christmas, often we'll give them water to drink. And it's from the biblical position where, even with the idea that God is all-knowing, God is ever-present, when Adam ate the fruit, God didn't leave it there that I knew what you have done and I knew who corrupted you. He said, Adam, what have you done? At least he offered Adam the opportunity to explain himself. And that is all that we asked for. It is not an issue of trying to protect a particular outcome, but just offer us the opportunity and to correct. So it's not the simple issue of giving benefit to gangsterism.
I get it.
Or whatever.
I just want to clarify something before we come back. It looks like for both applications in the High Court, the EC, for the MPP application, the EC had no objection. But for your application as well, which was the second matter, they did not file something in opposition as well.
Yes.
So it's almost like the EC was just taking a laissez-faire position?
No. So you see, so this is what happened in the case of mine. When I began to move, I said, my Lord, let it be on record that the Electoral Commission, through their lawyers, have not filed any affidavit in opposition. And the rule of law is that where an application is served on you and you dispute the facts, you file an affidavit in opposition denying those facts. In this case, in the absence of any affidavit in opposition, the claims that we have made in our affidavit in support should be admitted or deemed admitted. The judge says no. Then we say, but my Lord, you are
like the same court, same judge,
the same
second
judge, exactly the second one. And so we say, my Lord, with the greatest respect, you are the neutral person interfacing us. At this point, on what facts or counterfacts are you going to give out a contrary decision? None.
But you can't have the first decision and second decision happen at the same time, though, because the first matter NPP took for the mandamus, if that is granted, that obviously vitiates yours.
Exactly.
So it's essentially the same case.
So right from the beginning, I drew his attention that, my Lord, even we filed first in time, which was on the 16th. So give, hear us first. And if you hear us first, it will put matters in proper perspective.
Because you had said that the declarations that were done
were valid.
And so the so-called recollection should stop.
Exactly.
MPP's number 2 to 6 says, EC...
There was even none.
No, MPP's point is that EC should be compelled to collate and declare.
Exactly.
Because they believe that a proper declaration was not made.
Exactly. So
I get that point. Let me take a breather. Okay. A lot of legalists. When I come back, we'll continue with Atachia. NDC lawyer, Atachia MP for Ebuakwasa. We're trying to understand what is at stake Tuesday, which is a very critical date, 31st December, where a High Court will hear finally on the mandamus application that the MPP took to court. Stay with us. Welcome back. So tonight on The Point of View, we're trying to understand what is at stake in the High Court, where two sides are arguing over essentially what is 4 constituencies. Now we know that the Insama Madrejiri has been excluded because there wasn't a proper collation and declaration prior to all these legal challenges. Obuasi, actually yes, so that was one of the key ones. The 4 outstanding to our knowledge, definitely Okankwe Central, then we have Ablekuma North, and then we have Techiman South, and then Tema Central. Those are the 4 in question. Now, so what is emerging is that the same High Court judge had 2 cases in front of him. The NDC rep says they filed first, asking that the recollection happening in Tesano should stop. The MPP goes for mandamus and says EC should be compelled to do his job. I'm not a lawyer. It would have been interesting to see whether the judge could have just joined the two cases and made a simple determination. But he chose to do the mandamus one first without allowing the NDC to join, and then the NDC matter was also heard. The EC did not file in opposition, but the NDC was dismissed. I mean, for a lawyer like you, again, the Supreme Court has already adjudicated on this, but I still want your view. If you look at the way the sequence, I filed first, and I'm asking for something to stop. Somebody's filed after me, and the person who's filed after me rather has his matter heard first. I'm not allowed to be heard in his matter, and then my matter is dismissed. That seems patently unfair, doesn't it?
Well, I am of the humble view. I'm not trying to be political at all. I'm trying to be very legal, you see. I'm of the humble view that if it is before the same judge, and I don't know whether it is before the same judge.
It was.
The judges have the power to manage their cases. So there can be two concurrent applications. One was first in time, but the judge can say, I want to hear this one first. And there have been several occasions that the judges have done that. What I believe is very critical for everybody to look at is that the judges have a right to go right, and they also have a right to go wrong. So when the judges go wrong, imputations of bias, unfairness, and politicalness, and the rest of them do not aid in the adjudication process. Then let me tell you what has happened. Would you say that the Supreme Court, which was lambasted, is now good because Kwama was presiding? It's only when you take a benefit from a particular judge and the judiciary is sound. That's how you run the system. We shouldn't go there. So today, I'm not going to say that, the decision that, you should go and be heard properly because there was violation of the Aldi or Term Patem rule. You see, that rule, which is so fundamental to law, is wrong because I am at the end of the joke. I didn't win. There's an absurdity in going about that way that we pick and choose. When we win, the judiciary is good. When we lose, the judiciary is bad. So that is where I want us to go. But right now, if you ask me that whether or not the judge was wrong in determining which of the motions that should be heard first, that is his discretion. You see? And then do the that the judges are always right.
Okay.
So that assumption is wrong. So they have the appellate processes and the rest of them. And if you believe that you've been given a shabby treatment in terms of the interpretation of the law and the application, you come out with imputations of bias and unfairness and the rest of it. So right now, the MPP should be saying that the Supreme Court was unfair. Now go back and hear the mandamus. If they started doing that, they don't understand due process and the adjudication.
How do you think the mandamus complexion has changed with what has happened? Because even though the Supreme Court judge did not agree with the NDC on the allegation of bias, you can say they tacitly did by saying that the mandamus should be heard by a different judge or a judge in a different court. So that in a sense, they are saying we don't have time to hear the accusations against bias, but let's go to a different court so that we are all clear. Number two, what kind of pressure do you think this puts on the new judge now with all that's gone on? You know, having to have this very politically charged matter be heard, and it's going to be live on television because now they've allowed television cameras in there. They've also done abridgment, so now we're going to have filing today, hearing tomorrow. That's a lot of pressure on the court. I mean, as an officer of the court, how do you suppose this is going to play out?
Well, in the first instance, it happens all the time.
Okay.
You have tinkered with a case. You understand? You've taken a position, and therefore, by reason of the position, you shouldn't look at the case. Let somebody who's not taking a decision at all look at it again. Okay. I think it accords with common sense and also the fairness of the case. If not, you talk about you can't straighten up a hunchback. If the man believes that what I did was right, irrespective of what the Supreme Court said, you might have a bad result for somebody. So So going to a different judge is a way that the judiciary has been doing that. Look, so long as you've had, some kind of, experience with a particular case, and you got it wrong from the perspective of the Supreme Court, they won't let you continue. So what is the tension in this matter with the judge? The judge is sitting in respect of just one case. It's not, the mountain of cases that the judges are so inundated with, about 63 cases, and the rest of it. It's just one. What I expect to happen is the judge himself, by now, might have read what the Supreme Court said, and he knows the law about mandamus and the principles that inform mandamus. So let him come and do the argument, and he will give a decision. But if you ask me sincerely, then what is the mandamus going to do? By reason of the fact that the constitutional body has a mandate to correct errors. What is it? There's a mandamus on, the parliament to pass bills. It sounds a bit absurd, because that is their remit. They themselves know that the parliament does not exist. To go and dig graves in the cemetery. They are supposed to sit and pass bills into law.
Wonderful.
So stating the obvious to the EC with the greatest of respect, I don't want to sort of interfere with what is about to happen. It's a bit comical for me.
Wonderful.
They know what to do when something is wrong. And I've heard about people talking about duress and the rest of it and the rest of it and the rest of it and the rest of it. Look, you need to prove duress and whatever you have to prove.
Okay.
But I don't want to go into duress. I want to go into arithmetic. Would you be the beneficiary of a position that the police station, the constituency, did not accept you? Are you happy with it?
Fair enough.
And then it is shown that some of the pink sheets didn't go in your favor. That when you put it together, the culmination that you didn't win.
All right.
How can this be offensive to anybody of sound mind and rationality?
I'll come back to you on Domi Kwabena later, but let me just come to Eduji. So what is your understanding of what is to be determined tomorrow? So the original mandamus application that is number 2 to 6 filed, the MPP candidates, but now 2 are out in Samadwejiri.
So I think you see tomorrow's matter, because I'm lawyer on record, I'm being cautious here. You see, it's a very simple issue, one issue. Okay, I see there had been declarations. You see there have not been declarations. In the face of these 2 competing claims, should you be making an order compelling somebody to perform a task that is being disputed by someone? That's all there is tomorrow.
Okay.
You see, the claim of arithmetics, for me, elections are not just numbers, they are also procedural issues. And so when it is reduced to just numbers conversation, it blurs the issue. And why do I say it blurs the issue? You see, in Damongo, my learned senior Abujinapo Samuel was declared a winner. However, it is also admitted that there were issues that happened to the point that the EC office there was bent down, right? So on what basis the EC proceeded to do ABC? 2, the Electoral Commission itself had appointed returning officers for all constituencies pursuant to Regulation 2 of CR 127. The person who declared Abujinapo the winner was not the returning officer. Is it permissible? Can it be done? Can somebody else? Remember, for presidential elections, Madam Jane Mensah is the returning officer. Can somebody else, a returning officer from a constituency, come out and say, I'm declaring the president of the republic? So elections are just not about numbers. In fact, if you recall, in 2013, election petition filed by Nana Dodan Kwekufuado, Jacob Echebilante, may his soul rest in peace, and Dr. Mahmoud Bamia. One of the major issues raised was that on the face of the pink sheets, presiding officer did not sign. They were not looking at the numbers. They were looking at the legality. So when Malene Senior says it is a simple question of numbers. With the greatest respect to him, we are not doing justice to.
So you are saying how we arrive at a number is important.
And that is why in 20, and he was part.
Council, with the greatest of respect to you, are talking out of context. Let me tell you the issues that people are running away from. You understand? The issue people are running away from is that this time around, not the Akufo-Addo extrapolation by way of the petition that you are talking about. This time around, can you imagine that somebody was declared, the MP elect, when the whole gamut of the things were not available? Can you come to terms with that? So please, don't try to box the issues. And the context of what we are saying is that when they talk about this recollation, which I believe that is even an anomaly and a misnomer, it's you saying that, look, when we look at the pink sheets from all the polling stations, you didn't win. It's not saying that somebody didn't sign. And if even the returning officer so-called, you understand, is a harbinger of this fraud, and it's been discovered by the one to gazette you into parliament, how can you rubber stamp the fraud? That's the problem. That's the problem. So at the end of the day, if the EC is just in the process of trying to gazette somebody, and the EC should see that irrespective of whoever declared somebody a winner, there's a palpable error in the collation. Do you think the EC should be impotent not to correct it? And it takes mandamus for EC to think right? I mean, this is not the way rational system.
So Bernard, and I like the point where my senior now comes to the realization that this is not a simple mandamus and say you are just compelled, go and do A, B, C, D. Go and do it in what context? So for instance, in Sawam, we had issued a writ at the High Court. And what was our claim? We were saying that, look, the Electoral Commission is saying that there are polling stations, pink sheets that they cannot identify. And so for the fairness and integrity of the election, court order a rerun so that we go back to the status and get the people to decide whether they want you or it is me they want, right? It is when that matter was pending at the court differently constituted. A different High Court says, I'm making an order to go and collate when they are missing polling stations. So I am just saying that we should not reduce the conversation to a simple numbers game.
Okay.
There are pure legalities that you ought to also fulfill. And that dovetails the conversation into Dome-Kwabenya. Bernard, as you sit here, in Dome-Kwabenya, there's a police station called Abokobi Women Development Center, number 2. Okay. Election, from the beginning, the presiding officer made a mistake. What did she do? Instead of filling the names in the parliamentary declaration, the parliamentary candidates, she actually used presidential, Baumia, Nanado, and what have you. So by the time it got to the parliamentary, she didn't have the form to do that, intake.
For that polling station?
For that polling station. So the parties, NDC agent, NPP agent said, look, we agree that you have spoiled this form. However, we have a training pink sheets with all the details. So we can all agree for you to use it.
Since we have the same result?
Since we have the same result.
Okay.
And they all agree. So the presiding officer enters Michael Quay Jr., this number. Eli Plain, Faustina, so this number. MPP agents, they are number 1. So they signed. NDC agent number 2 signed. And it was all accepted, showing that the NDC candidate won. Why should it be a contention? But today we have gotten to the point that there is an understanding that we have to go and rerun it, a position that we are opposed to. So I'm saying that it is not strictly a question of numbers.
Okay. How the numbers are arrived at is
yes,
important.
and this is a classic example.
Why would the rerun intimidate the winner? It makes sense.
No, but this exactly. So senior,
it job to rerun. It has to take it. So if somebody is having doubts about you having won, and you know that the numbers are speaking for you. And I tell you again, that's not just, you say it doesn't matter about it, but if the numbers will make you win.
No.
So if the numbers are there, and they said that, oh, look, your winning is suspicious, can we stay for just 3 hours and look at it again? Why should you be nervous about it? I don't get it.
You see, the point is that no two elections, even conducted within the space, are the same. That is why turnouts are critical for every election. Turnouts are critical because you see, if you that particular police station has 687 voters.
665 also.
Okay, 665 granted. Now, if you add the vote Michael Quay obtained and that of Eli Klim, it's roughly around 400, meaning that for turnout purposes, only about 45% of the people partake in the exam. Sorry, I say exam, the election. Then I look at it this way: you can call for a rerun, and now everybody will come and vote, and that has the potential of changing the entire result. So, senior, that is why I'm saying that it's the dynamism with the election. You can't say I'm nervous. I am not. It's a typical NDC stronghold. So I'm not nervous at all. But all that I'm saying is that through elections conducted, the dynamics of turnout can even change the outcome.
But
A turnout that is, hold on, senior, with respect, a turnout that is 45%, a turnout that is 62% can change the outcome. And in this case, where the vote difference is a little over 100, and you have about almost 150 people not coming to vote, if they all turn out, that alone is
that the turnout for that polling station will probably be higher than the average turnout of the rest.
Yes.
Which meant, but he's saying that the thing is, if there's a dispute, a turnout, a rerun may be the best if there is a dispute.
I have always
over the result.
You see, I have always been a proponent of where there are said disputes, there are other mechanisms.
Okay.
One, you can go for the BVD, the number of persons that were verified. It gives you an understanding of the people who came there. Thankfully for us, what we did, and I'm telling you this, what we did was that whilst they were sorting out and while they were counting, we were recording everything. So as I speak to you, for the particular police station called Abokobi Women Development Center, at the point where they were counting all the votes obtained by Michael Quay, we recorded all. We have it on video. When they pick one ballot, 1, 2, 3, we recorded all, and I can share with you subsequently. When they were doing that for Eli Klim, because she obtained in excess of 200, it's a bit longer. We have video recording because it was one of the things we told our people, so that should anything come, we can.
So you feel you can
back.
go to court. So on that particular polling station, you feel like a rerun is, we haven't gotten to a rerun yet because we haven't exhausted the process.
You see, there is a mischief inherently. If you allow for mistakes of this nature to do rerun, the danger, the mischief is that election officials can deliberately be incompetent. You can have somebody who is deliberately incompetent and create a situation that allows for such rerun. And so there is an inherent mechanism in our election processes that does not allow that rerun is automatic.
So just to be clear, Dominic Abenya is not part of the 4?
No. Because the mandamus application, there were 6 mandamus applications, excluding Obuasi is and Dominic Abenya.
So Dominic Abenya, EC is saying they will do a rerun of that polling station. You disagree?
Yes.
So so is NDC in court asking for a different route?
No, at this point, there is no legal challenge. The only thing is that we have communicated the point that no, there is no point because there is a solution. Which solution works for both parties?
Is it a legal or administrative solution?
Administrative. And that solution is simple. If you are saying that the only reason why you don't want to accept the representations on the pink sheet is because the pink sheet is a training pink sheet, that's administrative. So why not transpose that representation in the presence of the two agents?
That's provided both sides have the same document.
No, in terms of the document, you see, when you do, you give what we call...
Yeah, but MPP group say we don't have it.
At this critical
moment. Because you say you have...
Oh, we have even video recording. We'll aid them.
Just on this issue, which presents a different case, where do you think the solution lies? The NDC is saying that their administrative solution could work instead of a rerun, which is more like the last consideration. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was tempted to come to a conclusion that the police station, I mean, they generated pink sheets that, I mean, the party's representatives signed. Is that not so?
Yes.
If it is there, that's conclusive of the matter. That's my humble view. It's not even video evidence. And if you have those video evidence, it will deepen, I mean, the evidential support to the conclusion you've come to. That's good. But I was of the humble view that what is the essence of the party representatives taking a duplicate of the pink sheet in that police station? What is the impairment of that? What have they done with that? We should look at it.
All right.
So that is the basic document which brings closer to the results in the police station.
I will.
Is that not so?
Thank you. By the way, now that you are not going to be in the 9th Parliament, is it back fully to law now?
Oh yeah, full throttle. I'm going to tackle Tamaklo on some other issues.
Already has been coming to come to us from the Parliament. I've been seeing him, so we'll just continue.
So full throttle.
So Tamaklo's ingenuity is going to bring me some money. Whether you are the left or right, you will still earn some money.
Wish you well. Thank you for your service to the country. Thank you for your service.
As always.
And Senior, thank you.
Yeah.
You've been a great lawmaker. I think he was on the committee with my senior, the subsidiary legislation or something with my senior, Dr. Ayene.
Dr. Ayene.
Yes. So
Atacha, thanks for talking to us. He's the MP for Ebuakwa South. He will not be in the 9th Parliament. Just thank you as well, lawyer Edwige Tamaklo. So Tuesday, 31st December, will not just be for crossover, it will also be for a court to determine whether the mandamus application for the 4 will go in favor of MPP or NDC, and for which reason we'll know the full complement of our parliament. The other case is Trobu is in court. We're also told that
Fantiakwa
Bandai is in court. Fantiakwa North is in court as well. Which other one?
Suhu, understand they are about.
Wow. So this is not over yet.
Yes, Akwitia to understand.
And all of these are from your side.
Yes.
So Fantiakwa North.
Fantiakwa North, Akwitia, Bandai,
and then Trobu.
Yeah, Trobu.
Are cases your candidate have put?
Yes.
So at least 4.
We want more seats.
Okay. Well, may the people of Ghana win. May the country move forward. Thank you.
And I think this being the last for the year, let me just use this platform to wish your workers, everybody, happy new year.
Wonderful.
I'll be back here.
Definitely. We don't know in what capacity, whether lawyer or something else.
I'll be back here.
A big thank you to our viewers.
Defending John Mahama in a different form. Thank you.
A big thank you to our viewers of Channel One and also of the point of view. We started on legal note, we ended on legal note. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the new year. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.